Hello, and thanks for joining us today. The pop star of the literary world.
What's on the menu this evening, sir?
A quarter of a century ago, he brought us the groundbreaking novel Trainspotting, made into one of the most lauded British films of all time, conveying the joys and horrors of drug life in Edinburgh. The long-awaited sequel to the movie is finally here, loosely based on his follow-up book Porno. He's brought back the same dark and gritty universe in his latest work, The Blade Artist, and is in Paris as his previous novel, The Sex Lives of Siamese Twins, is coming out in French. He's a busy man. Let's meet Irvine Welsh. Irvine Welsh, hello.
Hi.
You must be tired with all that going on.
Yeah, it's been a kind of funny 18 months, really. I've never stopped, it's when you start off as a writer, you do it because you love writing and you love creating characters and stories, and then you become an author, and then you have to actually go and promote the stuff, and you go and talk about it. And when you get into film and stage as well, I've got quite a few film and stage projects coming out now, so. You find you've got about 3 or 4 different jobs all at once.
You
really.
certainly do. Well, The Sex Lives of Siamese Twins is coming out in French. It's set in the Miami world of fitness addicts and body obsession. Is this world close to the universe you live in now, then, in the US, away from the drugs, council estates and poverty that we see in your other works?
I look after myself a bit more than I used to, but that wouldn't be difficult by any stretch of the imagination. So... yeah, I mean, it's the themes I think are quite universal. The themes of how we kind of we have to fight through our own vanities and foibles to kind of find some kind of bigger truth that's going to really help us with our lives, and all these kind of I prefer to call them obsessive compulsive kind of clusters of behaviour rather than addictions, but they're all around us, kind of waiting to entrap us and to throw us off course. And really, that's what I think The Sex Life is about. It's about kind of people just looking to find a way through all this nonsense that we're constantly bombarded with. And
I mean, you've written books about the male working class, and they've been your protagonists in most of your other books. But these are young female Americans, and your wife says these characters resemble you more than the others. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, when you let the subconscious do the heavy lifting, as a writer, if you just you're working in your subconscious, you write a book and you think to yourself, well, this is a kind of urban kind of male sort of kind of white Scottish character, so he's going to resemble me. If you do a younger kind of sort of more suburban American female character, you think there's going to be no way. But characters are characters, and emotional kind of sort of, just emotional traits are very, very similar across people, So, so you often kind of, when your guard's down, I think you often, if you write somebody from a different gender or different race or different class or whatever, sometimes you can actually put more of yourself into a book in that way.
The Trainspotting universe, though, is never far away. The sequel is out, the long-awaited sequel is out. You reappear in your cameo as a drug dealer. Tell us about the first time you saw the film.
It was, very emotional. It's always, it's really emotional seeing these characters back and seeing them back on the screen, and to have everybody there, all the actors, and to be there with Danny and John and all that, and sort of, it was just a great experience.
Heroin no longer plays a pivotal role in the second film. What might surprise people when they go to see it?
I think what surprised a lot of people that have been to see it, and it surprised me, is the emotional layers that it has. It's very emotional because you look at what they're doing and you think about your own life as well, where that's gone, and you think about mortality and all these issues that it kind of throws up.
Well, just the mention of Trainspotting brings back all sorts of nostalgia, especially here at France 24. Take a look.
Choose life, choose a job, choose a career, choose a family, choose a big television.
And Trainspotting was just this explosion that just totally fitted with the time.
It's completely addictive in its nature. It was a bit rebellious and crazy, and mainly because it was filled with lots of fit guys.
There was a lot of swearing, and I was kind of in love with Ewan McGregor.
Now I'm ready. All I need is one final hit to soothe the pain while the Valium takes effect.
We all remember the toilet scene where Renton, obviously he's trying to detox.
I'll batter you.
Do you see the beast? Have you got it in your sights?
That should present no significant problems.
For a vegetarian, Rents, you're a evil shot.
It wasn't just the film itself, it was the whole atmosphere, it was the characters, it was the screenplay, it was the words they used, it was the music.
And smother the pain with an unknown dose of an unknown drug made in somebody's kitchen, and then take a deep breath.
It was a trip down memory lane. It's great to see the characters all come back again, the storyline pick up again.
There we go. We saw a little bit of Trainspotting 2 there, even a Frenchman doing a Scottish accent.
Which was wonderful.
Trainspotting drew on your experience of heroin culture. We always thought that Ewan McGregor's character Renton was you, but here it seems that it's Spud.
Yeah, that was John Hodge that rebooted that. So that's quite kind of nice, you know, for me, because people used to say to me, "Oh, you're Renton, you're Renton." Now they say, "You're Spud," you know. So yeah, it kind of. I'm not quite sure how I feel about that, but it's a nice change.
You're probably a bit of all of them, are you?
Well, you have to be as a writer. You know, you have to inhabit every character you write about. You know, they all come from within you in some way. You know, so you know you're basing them on observations and things that you've seen and heard in other people, but they're still coming from within you.
So how would these characters, Renton, Spud, Sick Boy, vote in the Scottish referendum?
Oh, I don't know about that. I mean, I think that I don't know if Spud or Begbie would bother to vote. Really, like, you know, I think that I always see Renton as a former no voter who would have switched to yes, and probably Sick Boy the same. Really, you know, because I think that they're both of that era that, you know, they would just get the last vestiges of the kind of, you know, of the Britain that was very cohesive and was very kind of united before it kind of fragmented under neoliberalism, really, until it's kind of different constituent parts.
Are we going to see Scottish independence, do you think?
I think Brexit makes it more likely, but, you know, you never know these days. I mean, everything is so volatile and up in the air. What we are having is an unravelling of all those old institutions that were kind of basically kind of formed in the imperialist era, you know, and they're not really fit for the purpose of a modern democracy. So I think we are going to see a lot of seismic change, and it will continue.
You've been quite outspoken on Twitter. I'm not going to quote what you've been saying, but about Theresa May in particular and her handling of Brexit. It's a done deal now, isn't it?
Well, it's bizarre, you know, that you've got a Prime Minister who's against Brexit, who now has to pretend it's the best thing since sliced bread and there's no going back. So it's just a bizarre and utterly crazy situation that we find ourselves in. You know, it's like, and the horrible kind of thing about it is that we have to keep telling ourselves lies about it, that it's going to be great and it's going to be fantastic, when everything, every kind of behaviour, every kind of indicator suggests the reverse of that.
And as we're on politics, is the far right Marine Le Pen going to win the presidency here in France, do you think?
Well, you never know. Again, everything is so volatile, and I mean, I hope not, because I think that when ordinary working people throw their lot in with kind of far right, kind of fascistic sort of movements, it never ends well for anybody, and it certainly seldom ends very well for the people who've invested in them in that way. And they're not going to help you, you know, they're not going to sort of, if you look at the last 30 years, the whole story is follow the money. Where's it all gone? It's gone to the 1%, and fascists aren't going to do anything about that. They never will, you know, so it's not the way to go. But having said that, I mean, it's like people are so disillusioned with mainstream politics that you never know what's going to happen.
You live in the States now, in A Decent Ride, your book. there's a character based on Donald Trump, and there's a big hurricane that came out before he became president of the United States. Are we living that hurricane now? I mean,
yeah, it came out before he was even running. I mean, I kind of I didn't really think it was kind of overtly sort of based on him, but he was one of the influences when he started to kind of talk about running for the presidency. Such a kind of ludicrous, kind of vainglorious character. I thought, there's no way that this is ever going to happen. But as the candidacy went on, you could see that it was gaining traction just because people were determined to throw a spanner in the works. You know, they'd had enough of kind of 30 years of nothing, really, so of broken promises. So they just felt that let's just go for this.
Living there now.
And it is, yeah, and it's a mess. It's terrible. So maybe that is a kind of warning for French people about kind of Le Pen. You know, we've had Trump and Brexit, and they've actually made things worse. You know, and they are making things worse if that's possible.
Well, you've clearly got so much going on. I'm surprised you've even got time to think about it. Your latest project is an 80s dance music TV series called Ibiza 87. It's going to chronicle the dance music and acid house explosion of the late 80s. Are you feeling nostalgic?
Yeah, I always feel nostalgic. Whenever I hear sort of a kind of 4/4 beat banging out from somewhere, I think, God, I'd like to get in there and get into that club and sort of neck a pull and jump around and all that. But my legs won't do that anymore. I can't throw an all-nighter now. I'd be lying in bed for kind of 2 weeks feeling sorry for myself if I started to try and do that.
They were good times though, weren't they?
Wonderful times, the best, yeah.
Okay, Irvine Welsh, thank you so much for coming in and speaking to us here on France 24. And The Sex Life of Siamese Twins is coming out in French. T2 Trainspotting is out in cinemas now. Remember our website, we're also on Twitter and Facebook. There's more news coming up on France 24 after this.